I want to talk about this tax bill that I've talked about every night. I know maybe you're tired of me talking about it, but we have to talk about it. We have to continue to talk about it as the Republican Party attempts to get it passed tonight. They are literally trying to shove it down our throats tonight. And this bill represents one of the largest, the biggest. This is going to make the effects of Obamacare look like nothing in terms of how big a piece of legislation this is and how many people are affected by this piece of legislation, how much of our economy is affected by this piece of legislation. And yet the Republicans have only given the American people not even a full month. They haven't even given other congressmen a full month to go through this piece of legislation. And yet they're going to ram it down our throats because it does everything that they want it to do for their donors. John McCain came out today and he excitedly supported it and said that he has to support it, even though everyone has concerns about it, that he believes that it's going to be a net positive for our economy. And that's bull. That's crap. I'm trying not to curse, but that's fundamentally untrue based on the CBO score, based on the Joint Committee on Taxation, their estimates. They haven't come out with their official document yet. And yet, despite all of the evidence to the contrary, despite actual evidence. See, on one side of the ledger, we have actual evidence saying that this legislation is going to hurt America. And then the other side of the ledger is just this religious-like belief by Republicans saying it's going to help the middle class. And I don't know what to do with that, right? I don't know what to do with that because it fundamentally means that we're dealing with people who, I mean, to be honest with you, actually, it's rather easy. Now that I think about it, it's rather easy because it puts us in the same exact situation. Okay. Just reading some comments in the comment section. It puts us in a very bad situation, particularly as it pertains to dealing with people who don't believe evidence on anything. They do not believe the evidence on anything. And they are allowed to have equal representation and voice in this American system. And not only do they have equal representation and voice, but they have a large electorate of people who very excitedly don't agree with evidence and choose not to work in the realm of evidence. And so here we are. We're fighting. We're literally fighting against people who can see on paper the evidence, the data that says that this bill is going to hurt people, and they make it a statement of faith, saying, "No, I really believe that this is going to help the economy." And what's worse than just the politicians doing that, who I understand they would do it because they lie all the time, their supporters who are going to be hurt by this bill are saying the same damn thing. We're dealing with a group of people, Republican leaders, politicians, who are going to lie just like any other politician. So I'm not surprised that John McCain, a person that close to death, I wouldn't, for a person, I think John McCain claims to be a believer in hell and heaven and Christianity and all that stuff. I wouldn't be lying like this, this close to death. But he's lying to America. And the fact that politicians are lying, that's no big deal. That's what happens. That's number one. But number two, conservatism is the perfect ideology to make people submit to power and to authority. There's no ideology that's better than conservatism because it forces you. It makes you look only at yourself. You and you alone are the reason that there's a problem. There's not the system. Never question the system. It's you. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't study the right program. Oh, you didn't grow up in a two-parent home. Everything becomes you and never allows you to look at the system. And so we have an entire portion of this electorate who looks at this system that is robbing them that is taking money from them, that is stealing benefits from them in order to give tax breaks to the rich, and they are happy about it. That's when I realized that, I realized that there's almost nothing we can do. Nothing. There's almost nothing that we can do to fight back against this, because we're at a point where conservatism has so successfully brainwashed and turned an entire half of our voting electorate into mindless zombies who will never challenge the system, and they will attack you for even thinking about making the system that we live in better. As a matter of fact, they don't even believe it's a system. You know, we're dealing with people who honestly believe that this is just where we are right now is a natural evolution of humanity, and that this wasn't an intentional destination by oligarchs and corporatists and robber barons in the past. They really believe that where we are right now is just the natural. I mean, they don't even believe in evolution for real, but in terms of this economic system and this political system that we have, they believe that this was a natural evolution. So there's nothing that we could do about it, because there's no such thing as the system. It's just here. And that's what conservatism does to your brain, man. That's what conservatism does to you. And that is what we're fighting against. And that's why Republicans can look at their constituents in the face and say, despite all the evidence to the contrary, despite all of this that's happening, the previous times that we've tried this, despite the fact that we tried this with Bush, despite the fact that we tried this in the Gilded Age, and we saw the results. And every time we do this, we see the results. Despite all that, we really want you to believe, conservatives, that this time it's going to work, and that these tax breaks that we're going to give to the richest people in America is going to help you poor people and you lower middle class people. That's how they're able to pull it off, because their followers don't question anything they say. The conservatives never question what Republicans say. And you can tell me that there's a handful of Democrats who do the same thing. I would agree, right? But the vast majority of us out here on the left, we're hammering the Democrats every single day. We hold them accountable every chance we get. But this entire framework, this entire machine of conservative media, all it's there to do is to dumb down their audience so that they will accept anything that the Republican Party gives them, and that they will never, ever, ever question the system around them.